Kaspa just made an absolutely ridiculous move over 7 cents, leaving many people wondering what in the world is going on. And so in today's video, I'm going to give you an update of what I am seeing and why I was actually wrong about this move to some degree. And so with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into the video. So looking at Kaspa here, of course, what we can see is that its price again has been flying. I mean, we got to look at this. Just from the 4th of November to now, its price is up a whopping 44%, which is of course the reason why you're seeing pure chaos across Twitter right now with Kaspa. Now, obviously over on the channel, we're excited about what we're seeing here because of these purchases that we made back in October. We made an entry on Kaspa on the 3rd. We bought some more on the 6th. I told them about more of it on the 7th, bought some more on the 9th, some more on the 11th, all throughout this move. Right here, right? All throughout this move right here. And so if we're looking at just a general average of where we were buying in at here, our overall purchase is up around 60%, which isn't pretty damn bad considering that was about, what, 3 weeks or so worth of purchasing. So with that in mind, the question then becomes, knowing that we are up 50-60%, what are we doing now and how do we go about it? Now, of course, my main concern with Kaspa is the fact that it is going rather exponential right now, right? Obviously, anytime I start to see a crypto going straight up nearly or a degrees, like this, I start to get a little bit concerned, like, okay, when is this thing going to pull back? When is this thing going to slow down? And that is generally what happens in this phase of a push to the upside for Kaspa. Now, the way that we can kind of track that and keep track of that is by looking at how Kaspa has moved in the past. Now, one thing that I do want you to understand is that as Kaspa's price gets bigger, its market cap gets higher, and as the market cap gets higher, the ability to grow diminishes, right? Those exponential moves slow down substantially generally as the market cap gets higher because it's just harder to move it, right? It's more money needed. But what we can do is we can look at the last few times that it's done this to get an idea of what generally happens when Kaspa's price is in this phase of a move. So what we're going to do is we're just going to look at this last example from this low all the way to this high. Let's just pull this and apply it and just to get an idea. And what you can see here is that if we were to apply the first time that we touch the bottom of this the trend here, right? Bottom side support, and then we apply that to this time when we touch the bottom side support for the first time since this move up here, what you can see is that it is moving rather similar. Okay, it is moving rather similar. We established support here. We got a nice little rally just to come back and establish support again, pretty similarly to what we did right here. Right now, after we got this second establishment of support, we started to go vertical. Boom, just like we're seeing right here. Now, after we went vertical here, we actually did get a nice pullback into one more move to the upside before the more macro pullback happened, right? This was when a larger, 40-50% correction to the downside came as it needed to slow down, let the bulls cool down before making another move to the upside. And what we can see right now is we actually did get a similar back test in here, although it isn't as big as this one right here, right? Although it isn't as big as this one, we did go up and come back and back test this ascending level of resistance that we had established over the last about year, right? You can see here, boom, resistance, resistance, came back up, established resistance, and we broke out of it, and we did back test it into continuation. And so based off of what has happened historically, there is a decent sized chance that we could continue up towards that 9 cent level before the more macro, larger pullback does happen based off of what we saw historically. Now, okay, that was one example. Let's apply the time before that just to get an idea, okay? Again, this is all guessing. This is guesswork. This is lines on a chart. This isn't something that you should be absolutely relying on. It's just something that's interesting to look at nonetheless. So let's go all the way from back here, okay? Let's actually bring it back just a little bit further. Let's go here to here, okay? Let's apply this first move from the bottom side support to the upside of this move, okay? Let's see. So we're going to take the first time that we establish support and apply it right here. Okay, so the first time that we touch support on the bottom side of the channel here, and then how did it go? So what we can see here is that the first time what happened was, again, very similar. We got establishment of support, a bounce to the upside, a pullback, back to support. Okay, that was the first major move. The same thing that happened on the one we just looked at happened here. Here, up, back, here. So on all three occasions now, the time in between the first touch and the second touch and then the move has been exactly the same. Okay, almost the exact same amount of time. But in this example, we didn't go as vertical as fast. What happened is that we actually put in this ascending structure, right? We put in resistance, 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 and then we took off to the upside and went vertical there. And we honestly didn't really slow down for a very long time. But interestingly enough, if we do kind of look for the sake of comparison, we did also get a pullback in this little time frame before really continuing that move to the upside, which is comparable to the last thing that we saw. If we do go way, way, way back here, let's go boom, 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 there we go. We did get that pullback before we went way vertical to the upside to reach the top side of this. So what I'm gathering is that based off of history and based off of the fact that Kaspa is bigger now and the market cap is higher than it was before, that the likelihood of a pullback before we do say try to overextend up toward upwards of over 10 cents is very likely, right? The likelihood that we do get some type of rollover or some type of cool down before that happens is very likely, meaning that we don't really need to be in a rush right now. So what we need to do now is say, okay, based off of those things, based off the chart history, based off the fact that we are overextended on many of our time frames, your 4-hour chart prime oscillator is about to put in bearish divergence with this double overbought reading. Your daily chart prime oscillator is also giving us now readings of bearish indication with this overbought reading in this blue peak finder, meaning that the likelihood is here that we do get some type of pullback over time before we do get more extended to the upside. But at the same time, you have to remember that we could still go upwards of 8 cents, 9 cents before that more macro pullback does come, and then a hopeful continuation to the upside here. Okay, so now that we have an idea, okay, likelihood is even if we do continue a little bit, it's probably going to pull back for a more relatively extended period of time before looking for another continuation to really touch the top side here. If that's what it's going to do, then that means, okay, what do we need to now do in order to prepare for it, especially again being that we are up over 50 to 60% on some of those purchases here. Well, before we go into exactly what we're going to do, of course, I do want to tell you a little bit about a company that I have been doing a lot of work with that I do believe has a lot of potential, especially in the next run, and that is Cryptonomy. Now, Cryptonomy is a venture fund, a trading organization, and a crypto credit company. As you can see here, they allow you to invest in the new digital assets economy, and they are doing extremely well. They have over 175,000 users worldwide with over $41 million paid out in interest. They've onboarded over 50 assets to earn on, in which they are available in over 200 jurisdictions. Now, what I will go ahead and say is that they are a company that has been through the ringer, right? A lot of these companies, some of these venture funds, these interest-based companies, they do always make me nervous, right? Like, okay, we've seen what's happened with other companies, right? We've seen what happened with these different lending companies. I need to make sure that they have been through it. They've been through the crypto bear market. They've been through a bull market. They can continue to survive and thrive even no matter what conditions we are in. And I will say that Cryptonomy has done that, and they have done that quite well, being that they've been through all of the craziness even when Celsius was collapsing in platforms that are similar to it. Now, Cryptonomy works in a very simple way. Okay, as you can see here, I have $3,700 deposited on my my Cryptonomy account here. And what you can see is it's pretty basic. There are 3 main areas. They have flexible staking, fixed staking, and then launch pool staking. Now, for flexible staking, it's quite simple. If you want to say deposit in your Bitcoin, the current API is at 24.7%. You guys know that is extremely high, and it is oftentimes that rate will move, go up and down. But over a long-term period, 24% isn't really all that sustainable, and it's more likely that it will start to diminish over time. That is normal. Okay, as volume increases, the overall APY does usually go down. But so say hypothetically we want to use 0.01 Bitcoin and go ahead and deposit it, and you can actually see how simple it is. Deposit confirmed, boom, you're done. Now it's flexible staking, and obviously that does then allow you to still use that crypto if need be, which is why again it's flexible staking. Now there is fixed staking, which does have a lock period, which is just as easy of a deposit process. You don't have to go through the hoops and the jumping, the hurdles and all this stuff. None of that. You simply just go in, you let them know, okay, how much do you want to invest? Let's go 0.01 again. Let's do it for 12 months lockup at 76%. Obviously it's high, but again, remember that does usually diminish over time. You can press continue, agree to the terms and conditions, create that staking, boom, it's going to send in the request, and it will then update you once you do get more information, or once they get more information about the process or the progress, of that. And then lastly, obviously you can use their launch pool, which does allow you to invest in some of these different networks or crypto companies that are much smaller, that are just maybe having their ICO, that are just launching, and then obviously that's much higher risk, but typically much higher reward, especially in a bear market. And so with that in mind, Cryptonomy has, again, they've been around the block. They've survived this last bear market, which has been pretty destructive for any crypto company even close to similar to them. And so with that in mind, obviously I do have my reservations. I still would be careful. I wouldn't be throwing all of their money in your entire bank account into one platform. I never think that's a good idea, but they do seem like a winner because they've made it so far, and I do look forward to seeing how far they continue. So of course, thank you Cryptonomy for sponsoring today's video, and let's get back into Kaspa. So at the end of the day, with Kaspa, what are we doing? Knowing that it does seem likely that even if we do continue a bit, we will roll over before we make one more final push to the upside, if that's what's going to happen. What are we doing now? Well, personally speaking, I have two different mindsets. Mindset number one is short term, mindset number one is long term. And what I did with Kaspa mentally is I said, okay, I'm going to look at half of this holding in the short term and half of this holding in the long term. For that long-term holding, I'm actually not doing anything, okay? So if you're a long-term holder, I'm simply not doing anything. Although I am aware we're extended, although I do believe eventually we're going to fall out of this ascending channel and we are going to come down to put in some type of macro support. Although I do believe that's going to happen, I think Kaspa has potential that could put it over 35 cents to 50 cents to even maybe $1 one day. I do believe that. I've been through a bull market. I've been through full bear markets. I know what things look like when they're building up to be winners, and Kaspa looks just like that. So because of that, I'm not selling anything from that one half of my long-term portfolio. From that more short to mid-term portfolio that I am a little bit more active in, I am taking a little bit of profits off the table right now. Sure, I may be wrong. Sure, it might go up to 9 cents prior. Sure, it might go up to 10 cents prior. That's cool. I don't care. I'm up 60 to 70%, and no man has ever went broke taking profits when they were up 60 to 70%. So I have been taking some small profits here and there, 3%, 4%, 5% on regular occasions as we are getting more extended, with the intention to buy back if I feel like it, as we do get that more macro pullback either here or when the day comes that we do end up losing support and we do start looking for, more support towards the downside outside of this channel. Okay, so with that in mind, yes, I am taking some smaller profits off the table here. That's just for my short-term, mid-term portfolio. And like I said, if we do at any given point roll and lose support, I am going to then transfer to a full-blown long-term mindset. Like, okay, this could be some type of generational pullback that we don't see again if the bull market does come. So I'm going to take advantage of this pullback here and reinvest any funds that I took profits from here, reinvest them back down here. Now, I could be wrong, right? We could continue upwards and upwards and upwards, and this doesn't happen. But like I mentioned before, that's not my concern. I do not care. I've learned from being through multiple cycles at this point within stocks and crypto that taking profits is never a bad idea. Never. Sure, you might have regrets if it goes up to $1. It doesn't matter though, right? You still have that cash. You can redeploy that cash if necessary, and there will be pullbacks along the way. Okay. So with that in mind, that is it for Kaspa for me today. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Let me know if Kaspa is one you're invested in, and what is your price prediction for Kaspa in 2020? Let's say 2025. Where do you think it's going in 2025? Let us know in the comment section below. Go argue, go agree. I don't care. I just want to hear your opinions. And with that said, of course, you all have an absolutely amazing day. Peace out, everybody.